but it has a little bit of play in it. That is a torque, and this is a torque. This morning I went out to put these in the rafters into the header, so in the event we ever have an earthquake, my rafters won't slide off the header wall. But today when I went to put these in, I actually stripped 2 of them out, which tells me that this is not quite big enough.
So is there
a bigger one? Well, I'll show you where I got these from. If you go to North 40 or one of those man stores, this happens to be the biggest one in their kit. And unfortunately, when I put the other ones in, they didn't require as much torque, so they worked perfectly. Now that I'm driving these 16 inchers through a 9-inch beam and then into a 4-inch header, they're not making it. So now I got to go find the right one. A little frustrating. A little B-roll. Anybody doesn't know what torque bits are? One of your videos back, I don't know, a month or 2 ago, maybe you can link this in the description, on staircase building. I watched it. I thought I was proficient at stair building. As you can see, these are beautiful. 20 treads, hand carved, right out of a tree. Not really. But even after watching your awesome video and thinking I knew what I was doing, built this awesome staircase. We'll talk about tools and assembly methods. Sometimes when you're as building, you mess up. And I had these nice beams, 25 foot long. I changed where they went in the house and moved the platform, I guess you call it, you step upstairs. I moved it 5 feet. Well, my mind still said I could do that because I had room where actually I didn't have room, because by the time I put the steps coming in the door and we have a hallway mud room, our steps would actually be way over here by this wall. But my brain said for some reason there's enough room to actually do this. So I could not figure out why I ordered those beams that long. I counted my treads, they all fit. I got my 7-inch rise. And here's the mental dilemma. These beams are 12 inches by 4. And when my brain said, well, they fit. Well, they do fit height-wise, but they didn't fit depth-wise. We're cutting our stairs off at 8 inches. What's the rule, Josh?
7 and 11.
Not 7 and 8. So, you know, is it a big deal for my family? And maybe not now, but if we have guests over, if we turn 70 or 80 years old and fall down the steps and break a hip and have to move out of this beautiful country because I didn't fix it. The good news is the way we built these steps, or the way I built these steps, is kind of like the jig stuff that I haven't really done before. So we made the runners, we got them to fit. We did that kind of creatively too. We took a 1x6 and we took marine plywood about 4 foot long at each end, 12 inches wide, hooked onto this 20 foot long 1x6, and we cut the angles perfect before we cut our beams. We made a giant jig. Same with these stairs. We got some 8-inch wood screws holding them in. It won't hold the average person, but you can feel the give. But what we're going to do is drill this out with a 1/2 inch butterfly bit. And this 1/2 inch piece of rebar goes in there extremely tight. We just cut these to length, 10 inches, slightly file the ends, and we're going to put some construction adhesive in the hole. And when we hammer these in, they will never move. And it will give us a nice iron, rusty piece of iron sticking out of the wood to give it that character effect. But we got to take them back apart. Because now, we got 2 extra beams. Thank goodness we had them. We're going to have to put a rough sander on and redo this whole thing and make them 24.5 feet long, the runners. Is this called the runner? What's this called?
Yeah, your runners.
This is the runner. We got to take them back from 20 feet and stretch them back to 24.5 feet, I think, or 25 or 6 feet. I'm going to recalculate all that.
We call them the stringers.
The stringers. You can leave that in the comment below if you got a different name for them. I call them a pain in the... Yeah. So, how do we build these stringers? Pretty simple. 8-inch wood screw to jig them together. We'll then pull out the wood screw and in the same spot re-drill the hole to put these pins in when we got done. Grandpa's square, one of the few things that survived the fire, was in the back seat of my truck. These are called our pure living files for life, but they're not quite as sharp as Jesse's. I haven't figured out how to sharpen them yet. Drills, well, we call this a zip gun around here. It's actually our torque driver. Construction adhesive, and the baby saw. If you guys are going to go into the timber framing business, it's a must. And you better have some nice, strong young men with good backs. Here's my staircase. Now, what do your question?
The questions that I have is, what can we share with people that'll help them avoid the pitfalls when they're building their stairs or trying to put stairs together or figure it out? It sounds like you did the whole template, like you built the stairs before you even built the stairs. And which great idea. I mean, all your cuts, your joints, everywhere, all your connection points are all tight.
And the mat came out perfect too. My stairs are exactly 7 inch there, and my last stair is 7 inch there. I mean, I nailed it. At the step. Yes, your foot can go under it, which works, but it can actually be a hazard if you catch your foot. The biggest thing is when you come down, there's a heel coming off here. And that is a safety concern. Me personally, I could live in a tree fort with a rope swing and a ladder. But we're gonna have guests here that go slide down these stairs. You know, the last thing you want in this world is a lawsuit. And stairs in wet floors seem to be the #1 in grocery stores, so I'm gonna stay away from that.
So you'll pull the whole thing apart, recut the stringers. Are you going to do another template?
Yes.
You'll do a template to match the new
angle
of the stringers.
I got some 1x5s that are rough cut, so they're pretty heavy duty. And then again, I take the 3/4 inch plywood, 12 inches by maybe 4 feet, and screw that onto each end at length. And I'll just keep guessing until I get that cut exactly right, because I'm not one of those. It's like a speed square. Yeah, the speed square. That is an awesome tool if you're a contractor or a carpenter and you know what all those numbers mean. If you don't, it's a good straight edge. So trying to find that perfect angle on a speed square, I'm sure a good carpenter can do it. I'm a guesstimator. And so I pre-cut that plywood to get the fit absolutely perfect. Because up here at the top, where we connect to the beam, I've actually notched that out and notched the top so they actually set in there. So as we're putting it together, we got some way to hold it as we're screwing it.
So let me share with you one trick that will speed up cutting the bottom so you don't have to cut and then cut and then cut, is if you can set the top and get it where you want it, and then you can stand up a 2x6 along the edge and then scribe the top of the 2x6. Then you can measure up or down off of that perfect line that's parallel with the floor.
Perfect.
That way you don't have to cut and then cut.
Was that in your video for stairwell building?
No.
See, I went by his video, did exactly what he told me.
But that'll save you some time, is being able to.
That's a great idea.
Scribe it on the floor.
That's a great idea. Hey, Jesus. Squirrel and What Rabbit construction, how to get the perfect angle on the bottom of your stairs. Here's our stringers, Josh called it. You put your 2x4 at the bottom, or 2x6, we have 2x4. You can make a nice line across there. And now, if you use another straight edge, you can move this parallel line up anywhere you want because you have a line to reference off of. This would have saved me a lot of energy and effort and a lot of trimming had I known that to be beforehand. Very good idea. I like shortcuts. One thing I could do is actually put nice eye bolts right below the knee brace and put another block between the two bottom joists, if you call them joists. And then I could put a cable at about a 30-degree angle and put up pressure on the bottom of the truss so it could hold a heavier load and be more safe to, if I ever wanted to actually use that for some type of craft room or something like that. So now I'm not just bearing all the lateral pressure on those two joists. It actually will then go to the vertical part of the truss.
So here's my 2 cents. If it was me, I would leave the decorative truss and I would build a floor independent of those trusses that span over to the beams that are connected to the posts. I wouldn't put any floor or weight
on the truss. Might degrade the strength of the truss.
Right, put your weight back into your structure.
Because it's only a 14-foot gap, so it's not absolutely horrible. And because I have the double, see how I have a beam bolted and screwed and glued to another beam?
Yeah.
I have 2 4x12 beams screwed and bolted together. Actually, the second one's
so if your
4x10.
If your floor spanned over there with some timbers,
yep.
And then on top of those timbers there was some tongue and groove floor, yeah, you're not going to be able to you're going to lose some headroom, but you'll never worry for a second about strength.
We got headroom though. We got 9 foot to the top of the truss.
Oh, then
so
yeah.
We're doing pretty good.
So that's what I would do, and I think it would add a lot of structural value to the whole building by tying that together.
And I'm sure you'll cut this out, but do you know there's a new art form that I started?
Really?
It's called spray foam bees nesting. See if you can zoom in on our bees nest up there. Made out of styrofoam.
Oh yeah.
I'm not exactly sure how that happened.
Was it, were you foaming from the other side?
I think we just had a gap there with some missing foam, and I sent one of the guys up to fill it up, and of course he did.
Oh, he got it full.
Yeah. I've used a lot of stuff. I've used a lot of that. Oh, you know what? I got to do this, Josh. We'll have to do it downstairs. I want it in the video. Matter of fact, I absolutely demand it. Little tip and trick for your viewers. Oh, I just happen to have one right here. Joe off-grid tip of the day. In the event that you ever want to use expanding foam for insulation or bonding, whatever in your house, my SIP panel guy recommended this Dow product, Energy Foam. Yeah, I don't know if I can just flat out say it sucks, but I wouldn't recommend that to anybody. You can get products like this at your Home Depot, and I've used 2 others. I found out that for gaps and cracks, you don't get better coverage. And this stuff is so, man, it just bonds like crazy. And I would easily say on expansion, it's 4-to-1. And strength, once it's dry, is 4-to-1. This stuff just crumbles.
And this is a Dow Energy Foam is junk.
It's junk. And you know what? I'm a common sense guy. Maybe there's some kind of mystery, something that's going on there. I can't figure out what it is. You use a ton of this, and the way the can's designed, you're only probably going to get 70% of the product out of the can before it comes out so bloody slow, you have to put on foaming on a calendar. Ain't going to happen when you're building a house. Now, with that said, this stuff, get it at your Home Depot. It is the best. It's like $6 a can, not a very big can. But when this stuff dries, it's like a hard urethane rubber. You ain't going to pull it apart easily, and let's just say you seal a door with it, your door ain't gonna squeak or wiggle. This stuff is awesome. So, there goes the Milwaukee tool drop. Right on, live on cam. We have dropped these things, I don't know, 30 to 50 feet, 10 plus times. This is number 3. We've only retired one, and it wasn't because it broke, it's because we slap wore it out. I've had it for about 5 years. So the good news is Home Depot had one on sale, 99 bucks, come complete with a charger and battery. I already told you about that.
So go back to the spray foam.
Spray foam.
So good, better, best?
Doors and windows, small areas, best product I've ever used. Period, the end, better than caulk. But some things have to be caulk for waterproofing. Gaps and cracks for bigger areas. Let me tell you what, I ended up doing most of our roof structure with this. Because again, if we got 50% of the load out of this can with a decent amount of pressure, we were doing good. Our problem was building this in the time frame we got. I couldn't sit there and run a bead this slow. This one, you pull the trigger and you run it. I mean, just that much, yeah, I won't beat that up. I won't beat that horse anymore, but that is garbage. Very expensive garbage too.
I think that's good information. People would really appreciate that because that stuff is not cheap.
No way. I think I had $900 in that product. And after day 2, I had 3 cans that were 3/4 wasted. Very frustrating. And I thought it was me at first, and I just realized once you get down to about 40% of the can, there's like not enough pressure to kick out the product. And then the product sucks. But you know, you got to do your edit thing. That's something.
About to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see